Ys 3 is a glorious return to origin. Well, for my timeline at least. Felghana does so many things better. First of all, it's not padded like Origin. It's fairly short and that's for the better. It has more world building and a better set of characters. It still has the same gameplay problems like Origin. Equipment and leveling is streamlined, but compared to Origin this gives Adel a good excuse to explore, because he wants to find upgrade materials. But there is still not much on the player's side to the side. That kind of rhymed. Dogi and Adel arrive on Felghana. It is Dogi's hometown and he left 8 years ago. We are surprised to see monsters on the island, even though every place Adel sets foot on has monsters. Countries really should pay Adel not to visit them. We hear a scream and save Elena, Dogi's childhood friend. She's a citizen of Redmond, the main hub and town for the game. People recognize Dogi and we also get informed that Elena has an older brother named Chester, who disappeared 6 months ago. Dogi does not know that yet and climbs the mountain to meet his old master. Meanwhile, we stumble upon an incident in a local mine. At this point it seems to have become tradition that in almost each Ys title, the first dungeon is a mine. Not to my taste, to be honest. I find monster infested mines pretty average, but others might disagree. In the mine, the mayor of Redmond, Edgar, got stranded and we save him of course. Before we get him out we meet Chester, who seems to search for some strange statues. We found one with the boss, but don't tell him that. He then leaves after making an ass out of himself. We make a tour through the town and meet Bishop Nicholas and Sister Nell in the church. The assigned priest, Pierre, went to some old ruins to research what's happening on the island. After fighting through the ruins we find Pierre at the end. Chester and the local lord, Macquarie, arrive and they take Father Pierre with them. Macquarie is Chester's lord and presumably the one who wants the statues. Adel gets Sparta'd and has to fight his way up again. While stomping through the lava we stumble upon another statue. Then on the surface Chester awaits us. He seems to have known that it would come to this and demands the statues from us. Dogi and Elena intervene and Chester leaves without the statues. We gather at the town and discuss our next steps. Some of the miners remember that there are some old murals in the mine, so Adel starts delving while Bishop Nicholas talks to Macquarie to free Father Pierre. We find said murals, which turns out to be an obelisk, and it tells us about a strong sword master named Genos, who defeated Galbalan, of course a demon king, again. The demon got sealed by Genos. Then the magical obelisk gives us the strongest power for someone sent to defeat a demon king, the power to double jump. We then go deeper into the mine and obtain another statue. Meanwhile, Bishop Nicholas got Pierre freed and now we want to consult Master Berhard, that's Dogi's master, because he knows a lot about these statues, and so Adel has to climb the mountain. On the mountain we meet a hooded person that we have met before. Those mystical antagonists never say anything worthwhile, that's why I left it out, but we will meet that person a lot. Berhard tells us that the Demon King was sealed in 4 statues. That's probably also why Macquarie wants those, because he wants to control the demons. Before we fight the boss of the area, we meet Dogi. It's a ridiculous scene where Dogi can't traverse the gap, but Adel can, and instead of handing Adel an important item before he jumps, he throws it at him over a giant hole. We obtain the last statue at the end. There's a cave in and Dogi has to punch the boulders to free us. Just like in the first game. I did some research if the famous Resident Evil 5 scene was a reference to this, but I did not find anything on that, so if you have some insight let me know in the comments. After we leave the cave, Chester awaits us. I don't know if it's because all the games have a common plot structure, or if it's obvious, but I already thought about this before that Chester in fact didn't really follow Macquarie. He confirms this in a discussion with Dogi. Chester wants revenge because 12 years ago Macquarie slaughtered his village, Genos Island, named, after you guessed it, the Swordmaster Genos. Genos is an ancestor of Chester and Elena, so the reason for his shenanigans that surprised me more than the act itself. Chester then stabs Dogi so he can obtain the statues. Dogi will be treated by his master Berhard while we return to the town. The town is under siege by soldiers from the castle. We save the town and when we discuss how to deal with all of this, Elena went to the castle the soldiers came from, because that's a good idea. We follow and the castle is under the control of demons. It seems like some mysterious fog that came from the clock tower changed the soldiers to demons. We battle our way through the tower and obtain organ pieces for some reason we don't know yet. We also meet Bishop Nicholas, who just chills in one of the towers. In the other tower is Macquarie's family, who is pretty shocked at what happened and asks for forgiveness on behalf of the family's father. We then finish the organ to get access to the clock tower, which is like Origin nonsensical level building. It's not a secret passage, it's a clock tower. People often have to get to it, to fix stuff or just to clean. And it's some giant platforming bullshit level. First we go down and find Elena, who is in prison, who would have fought, and then we try to reach the top. Along the way we pick up the statues that have been placed there. Near the top Chester confronts McGuire, but we stop him with a fight, then follow McGuire, who used his chance to flee in a dead end. On top Elena stops her brother and the real villain is revealed. Bishop Nicholas orchestrated all of this to awaken the evil demon god Galbalan. His reasons? He wants to believe in a real god. He's a one-dimensional villain and neither worth the reveal or the betrayal. Nicholas needs the blood of Genos to unseal the Demon King, which is the most unreliable seal ever. Genos just shouldn't have had children and then no one could have lifted the seal. Also, why were his descendants the key to unseal him guarding his resting place? He takes Elena hostage. She is just a meh heroine. She has no personality, besides the typical good wife material damsel in distress archetype. We follow Nicholas to Genos Island, where we also fight his hooded assistant, who turns out to be Sister Nell. The villains are so underdeveloped that I cannot help to feel just indifferent to them. We fight through demon ruins until we find the Demon King. We fight him, but he will still awake. Chester then sacrifices himself while we and Elena escape, and blows up the whole island, which means Genos Island was a nuclear power. We return and talk to the whole village and Elena. Then Adel leaves. Dogi stays behind to help rebuild. Felghana was a better game than expected, partially because it concentrated the plot where it counts. The town was interesting, even though hardly any characters stood out. I like the whole farewell sequence, and even though I just said that the characters did not stand out, I'm sad we will not see most of them again. I think the East series does not really play to its strength, with their mostly contained stories, instead of using an ever-expanding universe with notable characters. Maybe and hopefully this will change in 6, which I'm planning to do next. Farewell.